Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about first contact in a shit hit the fan type of scenario. Okay, this is a scenario where basically law and order has broken down, and this is very different from like when I teach my personal protection classes, where we can assume that help will be on the way. Okay, and that's a situation where we're basically, if we have to shoot, we're shooting to stop the immediate threat. If the bad guy's trying to get away, we're gonna let them get away because it's not our job to stop them from leaving or arrest them. Okay, but basically both you and the bad guy know that at some point the police will be arriving. Okay, maybe not in the next few seconds, but at some point. In a shit hit the fan type of situation, both you and the bad guys know that there's no police coming to help. In fact, depending on how many weeks in we are, it might be a situation where your local cops may have gotten very desperate, very hungry, and maybe they're the ones raiding people. We don't know that. But the point is that this is a situation where law and order has broken down. In many cases the good guys are now bad guys, and the bad guys are bad guys still. Okay, so what we're going to talk about here is that first contact, which is going to be different than after you've been 6 months in or a year in, and you've had multiple contacts, and you've built up experience. This first contact, you're going to experience things that in a way that later on you may get a little bit more comfortable with. Your brain may start to be able to process what's happening faster. But initially, what's going to happen is, after that first shot is fired, your brain is going to kind of cease taking in new information. Now, part of that's going to be because you're going to be deaf, from the gunshots going on inside a confined space. Also there's going to be smoke. Okay, a lot of times you guys shoot at indoor ranges. There's a ventilation system going on in there that's pulling the smoke out. If they've ever forgotten to turn on the ventilation system, you will see how quickly smoke builds up, and how difficult it is to breathe and see through that smoke. Okay, so you're going to have all these things that you're going to be fighting in addition to the bad guys. Okay, so for that reason, basically, I want you guys to think of that second before you fire that first shot, or before in general a first shot is fired. Look at the situation and take a snapshot in your mind, because basically that's what you're going to be fighting. That's the war you're going to be fighting, and your brain is not going to be able to accept new information easily. It's not going to be able to process new information, and you're not going to be able to react to new information. Okay, so all those three steps are going to be slowed down from that point forward. So that's why we have to kind of work with that snapshot that we've taken in our mind, the second before these shots are fired. Okay, so there's three things that we're concerned with, that we want to make sure that we observe. Okay, number one, how many bad guys? Okay, number two, what are their positions? Okay, and number three, are we shooting left to right or right to left? Okay, so those are the three things that we have to become aware of, and we have to basically lock that into our mind, because that's what we're going to be that's what we're going to be working off of. Okay, and it will take some time before we're able to process any new information. Now, most houses, your first engagement is likely to happen inside your home. Okay, and you're most likely going to be fighting down a hallway or a long, narrow corridor. Okay, or down a staircase. Okay, if you're at the top of the staircase, bad guys at the bottom trying to come up. So that does give us certain advantages. The bad guys are basically in a confined space. So the nice thing is that if we are using the gun that we're supposed to be using, we're going to have a distinct advantage in that 5.56 can go through multiple people. Okay, and that's important. For a shit hit the fan type of situation, you definitely want an AR-15 that shoots the 5.56 caliber. You do not want an AK-47. Yes, I love AK-47s. I have lots of them, and 5 years after shit hit the fan, after your AR-15 breaks down, you're probably going to be using your AK-47 exclusively. Okay, but for that initial engagement, that first contact that you have, you want a light recoiling gun like an AR-15 with the 5.56 caliber. With the AK-47, what's going to happen is, because in this type of a fight, you're going to fire a lot of rounds, and the muzzle is going to start to lift up. Okay, whereas with the AR-15, basically that muzzle is really not going to move around much, and that's important because, like I said earlier, after the first shots are fired, first of all, there's a good chance that this will be happening at night under very low light conditions and under very smoky conditions. Okay, so basically, you're not going to be able to sense how high your muzzle has lifted. You definitely want a red dot on your rifle, and you definitely want a light. Although we're not going to be shooting with the light on, we're going to put the light on for a split second to observe, take that picture in our mind. Okay, how many bad guys are, what's their position, and make that decision if we're shooting left to right or right to left. And then we're going to quickly turn that light off, and then we're going to basically go to work on them. Okay. Now, what I have here is I have 3 barrels with 3 rims on top. Okay, and basically those rims represent center mass. Like I said, the first thing we gotta do is we gotta figure out how many guys do we have, and I got 3 bad guys there. Now, realistically speaking, that's pretty much as high as you can count when you're under stress. It's 1, 2, 3, or many. Okay, you really can't count any higher than that, and you'll spend too much time trying to count. So it's 1, 2, 3, or many. Okay, what are their positions? Well, basically I have 2 guys that are kind of to the left and 1 guy that's sort of to the right by himself. Okay. And next I have to make a decision. Am I shooting left to right or right to left? Okay. What I'm going to do in this scenario is I'm going to basically move to the left so that these 2 guys, right, the 2 guys on the left are lined up right in front of each other. And remember, the hallways are pretty narrow, staircases are pretty narrow, so that's usually not more than 1 step. Okay, and that's going to give me an advantage because basically every round that I fire is now shooting at 2 guys instead of 1. So I'm going to step to the left. I'm going to engage the guy on the right by himself. Okay, because remember, after I fire that 1 or 2 shots at him, all I'm going to see is smoke. Okay, so I'm going to take those 2 shots, boom, boom. Then I'm going to go left. All right, and then basically I'm going to fire at the last known position of those 2 guys on the left, and I'm going to put multiple rounds into the smoke on those guys. Okay, and at that point, then I'll be able to stay behind cover and maybe turn on my light and assess what's happened. Although realistically, the light is probably going to bounce back on me, so I'll turn it on, probably turn it quickly off. And this is why it's important to have a 30-round magazine. Because you can't see the bad guys after that first shot. All you're going to see is smoke. You have to put a lot of rounds downrange. Okay, this is, like I said, this is not everyday, normal home defense. This is shit hit the fan. You need to stop those bad guys. Okay? Now, one of the things that you want to have, now basically you're going to be sleeping with your pistol. Okay, but this is not the gun that you want to take to this fight. Okay, because the pistol rounds are not going to go through multiple bad guys. They're probably going to go through 1 bad guy and that's it. You want a rifle that will shoot through multiple bad guys. And we've already, everybody kind of knows where they're supposed to be at this point, so there's no chance that your family members will be behind those bad guys, because while you're doing your thing, they're all taking cover where they're supposed to be, where they're supposed to be. Now, one of the things that you definitely want to have, I mean, if you have a chance to get another full 30-round magazine, great. Basically that you'd have on a belt clip, or so, But get yourself a few of these 20-rounders. The 20-rounders are very useful because basically you can throw these into your back pocket, and they will basically completely disappear, and they're not going to stick up and be in your way. So you can basically always have that in your pocket. Have an extra 20 rounds in your pocket because there's a good chance you're not always going to have this rifle on you. Although I recommend a rifle with an adjustable sling, because with this rifle what I can do is I can just move this up here, okay, and now basically I can throw this over my back, and I can do stuff with my hands, and the rifle's not going to be pointing all over the place. But the fact is that a lot of times you will end up having to take the rifle off in your as you're doing your day-to-day stuff. But you're always going to have your pistol on you. Remember, we use our pistol to fight our way to our rifle. But having a 20-round magazine in your back pocket is not that much of an inconvenience. So a 30-rounder you're not going to keep, but a 20-rounder you will do. Okay, so get yourself a bunch of these 20-rounders. All right, so what we're going to do now is let's actually engage these targets. I'll put my ears on. And like I said, we're going to assume that it's very smoky. It's kind of dark. I'm going to basically move myself into a position really quick, which is usually 1 or 2 steps. Okay, so I'm here. I'm going to move into position, come up, take 2 shots. Right. So that's what that first contact is going to look like. Okay. But in order to engage, you have to have those 3 things in your mind. You need to know how many guys you have, what are their positions, and are you engaging from left to right or right to left? Okay. Post some comments. Let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you guys next time.